Hi again, everybody. Welcome back to Enjoy English School. I'm Bruce.
I'm Anthony.
Today is day 2 of a very special lesson on a very special person. His name is Aesop. Sometimes people will say Aesop. It's not an English word because Aesop was a Greek what? He was a great storyteller. He was also an excellent speaker. The two go together very well because people would want to hear Aesop share his fables, some of which he thought of himself, some of which certainly he borrowed from other people and even other cultures.
没错，我们今天要跟各位继续介绍伊索寓言相关的主题哦。那我们昨天的话有简单的介绍了一下这个从寓言故事讲到伊索这个人，他本身的背景可能是来自于土耳其或者是伊索比亚地区。那因为那个地方是欧亚非的交界嘛，所以很多人想说他呢可能收集了许多欧亚非的故事，他本身的话有300多个经典的故事是跟他有关的。那很多人他们再去介绍说，其实至少100个可以追溯到他身上。OK， 今天我们要继续介绍跟那个伊索更多的内容。
Basically, today's lesson has 3 fables to share with you, but there's also a very short introduction, which is what we're going to look at right now. Aesop's fables not only make for fun tales to entertain children, but they can also remind adults of important life lessons. So the fables we often share with children. Children love to hear stories about talking animals and what they do, but they may be too young to really appreciate or fully understand the moral of the story, that there is a life lesson that can be learned from the example of using animals who act or talk like people.
没错，所以在这边的话呢，很多时候小朋友听故事听好好听，好好玩哦，有 talking animals， 然后动物会说话，讲的这些东西好好玩哦，可是未必能抓到背后故事的意义，跟大家学习的这种生活中的智慧，对不对？所以我们在这边的话，我们接下来会介绍3个重要的经典伊索寓言。那在这边的话，最开头这个 short introduction， 他讲到说 ，Aesop's fables not only make for fun tales to entertain children。这些伊索寓言呢，不只是可以当作给小朋友讲了，然后让他们很开心的这样的故事 ，but they can also remind adults of important life lessons。在这边特别注意一下 ，remind people 后面接续是 of， 没有错，把它圈起来 ，remind people of something。What is that thing? Important life lessons。它能够提醒我们成年人一些重要的生活智慧。然后他就讲说 ，Here are 3 of Aesop's fables。接下来我们就要介绍这3则故事了。
Here is the first of those 3 Aesop's fables. The 4 Oxen and the Lion. That is the name of this fable. A fable is not a whole book. It's just a story. It might be a paragraph. It could be a page, but it's never very long. 4 oxen lived in a large field. An ox is a cattle, a kind of cattle. It used to be a bull, B-U-L-L, 公牛, but it had an operation when it was younger, and it removed the male part of the bull so that the bull could become very large and strong and not fight with other bulls or other oxen. 1 ox, 2 oxen. That is the unusual plural form for this animal.
没错，所以老师这边特别提到 ox。好 ，ox 跟 bull 的差别就是，可能 ox 有经过可能去世的手术，对不对？把这个男性的这个部分把它去掉了之后呢，就变成阉牛。那在这边的话 ，ox one ox two oxen， 它后面是加 en 来表达它的复数形态，是比较特别的特殊复数型。
So 4 has to be oxen and 1 lion. The plural for lion, 加 s, very simple, lions, but we're talking about 1 lion. 4 oxen lived in a large field. A field is usually a flat area with a lot of grass, flowers, and maybe also some trees.
OK， 所以接下来我们可以看到这个场景了，对不对？有4头牛呢，生活在一大片的田野上头。这个田野 a field 常常是一个很大很空旷的地方，可能有草啊，可能有一些树啊，这样的一个地方。
A lion nearby the field. Maybe he was in the woods, not in the field because he's too easy to see. He often tried to attack the oxen. Everybody likes, well, not everybody, but hamburger comes from cattle, ham and steak and so on. And animals like to eat the oxen too.OK，
所以像这个大家可以吃汉堡嘛，汉堡是来自牛肉，那其实很多的这个动物它们也喜欢吃牛，所以这句话讲说 a lion nearby 就是靠近这田野附近，可未必在田野，因为田野的话其实很容易就被发现了，对不对？它可能在附近的森林等等 often try to attack them， 它就是很想要去吃这些4头公牛。
However, the 4 oxen would put their tails together and their horns out and get ready for an attack. So their backs were towards each other and they were looking forward. They could see in all directions and they could protect themselves and each other with their horns.
好，所以他告诉你说，可是呢，想吃他们怎么样？不过 however, the oxen would put their tails together, 就是彼此背靠着背，然后呢 and their horns out, 他们四方呢，因为有4只嘛，四方的话都是脚朝外的，所以他就可以完全的保护彼此的状况，然后都会看到哪边有敌人要来，哪边狮子要来，他们可以保护彼此。So and their horns out 的话就是把他的脚朝着外面，所以根本没有下手的机会。
One day, you will often hear that in a fable.One day, the oxen began fighting among themselves. Now, fighting is not necessarily da. It can also be arguing and challenging and so on, but they were not happy together.
OK， 所以他就说有一天呢 ，the oxen began fighting among themselves。光讲 fighting 的话，不见得是打架，有可能是吵架，可能想说，你怎么把我的草给吃啦？怎么可以这样子嘞？太过分了你！我不要跟你玩了，就开始吵起架来，或甚至是打起架来，他们之间彼此有了一些嫌隙了。
In anger, angrily would be the adverb here.They each went to different corners of the field. So they had been together, then they started to argue, then they separated into different parts of the field.
好，结果后来吵了架之后怎么样？就不欢而散了。大家就想说，好，那我也不要保护，你也不要保护，好，谁都不要保护谁，吵起来了。In anger, they each went to different corners of the field. 他们于是呢就气冲冲的跑到田野的各自不同的角落去。好，我不跟你当朋友，然后他开始各自的去吃草。
The lion took advantage of the opportunity. This chance was not expected.But the lion, said, oh, now is my chance. They're not together. They were fighting, so he attacked.
OK， 所以这边的话呢，这个狮子 the lion took advantage of the opportunity.Take advantage of 这边的话是用过去式 took， 对不对？整个这个意思就是去利用了这样的机会，这样的好机会，他们可以各个被我各个击破嘛。好，所以在这里的话，他就开始发动了攻势。
One by one, or one after another of the 4 oxen, the lion ate them all.
哇，天哪，好恐怖哦！所以他就一个，我先从东边的牛开始吃好了，然后就开始去把它灭掉了，然后一个一个吃掉 ，one by one， 或者你可以像老师刚刚所讲的 one after another， 一个接着一个，这个狮子呢就把它们通通4只都吃光光了。
Okay, stay tuned. After our break, we have our second fable for you.Welcome back, and let's get busy with our second fable, The Donkey and the Horse. Donkey is similar to a horse, It's smaller and much cheaper. Horses eat more, and you have to take very good care of them. Donkeys are a little more wild than horses, as they are today, and doesn't require a lot of care every day.
没错，如果各位看过史瑞克的话 Shrek 它里面有一只非常吵的那个 donkey 对不对 I'm donkey 有没有它就会一直吵它吃的不多然后也比马要便宜
Okay. The donkey worked long days but got few thanks from its owner. Sounds like my poor students. I give them lots of homework and just peeping in class. Oh, the poor students. Oh, the poor donkey. He has to work very hard, but the owner doesn't pay much attention to him. Instead, he gives all his attention to the big, beautiful horse.
OK, 所以在这边的话，你可以看到这句话啊。他今天讲说 ，A donkey and a horse live together in a stable. Stable 当然就是指这个马厩、马槽，或是养任何这种牲口的地方。The donkey worked long days. 好，他每天呢，这个 donkey 驴子很辛苦的在工作着 ，but got few thanks from its owner. 很少有听到这个主人说：“哎呀，驴子你好棒哦，你今天怎么那么努力工作？”很少有这样子的赞美之词。Who gave all his attention to the horse?这个 owner 的后面有个逗号 who 这边就指的这个 owner 而这个主人呢却把他所有的注意力都给放在这个马身上我这么辛苦工作你都没有注意到我都没有给我嘘寒问暖一下给我秀秀你都可以注意这只马所以这只驴子心里头怎么样心里不平衡了
Okay, now notice here we have 引号 which says someone said or in this case thought these words or this idea. I wish I was a fine horse. I wish I was a fine horse to be cared for. Every day they would brush the horse and water him and feed him and talk to him and so on. But they didn't pay much attention to the poor donkey, even though he worked harder than the horse. Now, thought the donkey, he didn't say this because in this fable he doesn't talk, but he thinks like a person.
没错，所以在这里的话呢 donkey 呢就像人一样会思考，他没有讲出来说帮忙好不好，没有机会跟主人讲这样的话，他呢就是用想的，他心里想说I wish I was a fine horse， 要是我是匹骏马就好了。I wish 代表是怎么样在做梦，后面接着是与现在事实相反的情况。有的时候你可以听到说 I wish I were 或者 I wish I was 这边的话都是可以用的。To be cared for 你看要是我是骏马的话每天都被照顾得好好的。好，这边是用被动的语态 To be cared for and not have to work so hard 每天也不用这么辛苦的工作 For the donkey 正这样子想着。
Okay, I wish I was a fine horse. Your teacher may say, oh, that's wrong. It should be were. But this is an animal thinking. If you are speaking or especially writing something important, then you should use the 假设, the I were, I wish I were, I wish they were, and so on.
没错，所以在这里的话呢，一来可能是动物的文法并不好，或者是这些在口语上的时候，其实你有机会听到 I wish I was 这样的说法，在写作的时候，它还会是固定 be 动词，一定会一律用 were， 所以你在写作的时候写 I wish I were if I were you， 比较不会讲 if I was you， 可是在口语上的话，大家比较随性一点。
Okay, our second paragraph now. One day, here we go, war broke out. Suddenly it started or erupted. E-R-U-P-T 加 E-D. E-R-U-P-T, erupt. Think of a volcano. Boom. Sudden, and that's how many wars begin. Something happens and they start to fight almost immediately. And a soldier rode the horse away. When the war started, they needed horses, so someone went to the stable and took the horse away.
没错，所以说今天老师刚刚先提到说这个战争爆发的话可以用片语 break out， 在这边的话过去式变成 broke out， war broke out， 当然也可以用另外一个字叫 erupt， 变成过去式 erupted， 都是很好的说法。所以他们讲到说 one day 有一天呢， 突然之间战争爆发了 ，and a soldier rode the horse away。一个士兵呢就把马呢给牵走骑走了。
The horse never returned. The soldier came, took him away, but didn't bring him back. Why? He died on a distant, a far away battlefield. Here we have the word field again. It's normally a large flat area, and it's great if two armies are fighting each other. It's much easier on a field. You can move around more easily. A battlefield is, unfortunately, where many animals, not to mention soldiers, will die.
没错，这个 battlefield 就是指这个战场上面嘛，就没有想到呢，他被牵走之后 ，the horse never returned， 就再也没有回来过 ，and died on a distant battlefield. Distant 就是在远方的 ，far away. Battlefield 就是作战的地方。这个 field 本身就指刚刚我们讲过平原，对不对？在平原上作战，然后呢，这只马就死在了战场上。
Okay, again, now we have the quotation mark, so you can expect the horse is dead. We never heard from the owner, so this is probably the donkey again. I'm lucky to be a donkey and not a horse. I can remain safe at home. My advantage is I will be safe. They don't use donkeys in a war for the soldiers to fight on. Far from danger. At home, I am far from danger. I am very safe, thought the donkey.OK,
所以接下来又看到引号，就知道说，哦，今天马已经死在战场上了嘛，可能不是主人，那就是这头驴了，对不对？好，所以这头驴他就讲说啦 ，I'm lucky to be a donkey。哎呀，现在想想，我觉得当驴还真幸运。And not a horse， 还好自己不是马。I can remain safe at home， 我可以安心的待在家里头，平平安安的 ，far from danger， 远离这个战场的危险。想想，哎，真是幸运啊。
Sometimes we don't know how lucky we are.
Yeah, 有的时候我们真的不知道自己何等的幸运哦。有的时候就是不晓得，没有比较，没有对照的时候，真的就不知道说自己其实超幸运的。
Okay, that's our second fable. Get ready for the third. Oh, welcome back. We're happy to be with you, and we'll be finishing our program now with the third, which is the final fable in the series. It's called The Dog and the Shadow.
Yeah, 所以接下来最后一个这个寓言故事呢，就是狗跟它的影子这样的寓言故事。
Okay, here's the story. A dog was crossing a bridge with a large piece of meat in its mouth. Dogs are meat eaters, and maybe he took the meat from, killed an animal and took a large piece of meat and left, and he used a bridge, of course, that people had built, but maybe he wanted to get away from other animals, so he took what he could and left.Yeah,
没错，我们看到第一句话说 A dog was crossing a bridge. 好，有一个狗呢过了一个桥 with a large piece of meat in its mouth. 然后嘴里面呢叼了一块非常非常大块的肉。然后老师就说他可能这个肉呢是从别的地方啊杀了别的动物然后抢过来的。那他希望能够过了桥之后找个安静的地方自己独自享用吧，大概是这样的感觉。
It glanced over the side of the bridge into the water.Most bridges are built to go over bodies of water, especially rivers or streams.
OK, 所以他接下来他就看了一下 It glanced, 这边的 it 指的是 the dog. Glanced over 就是很快的 take a very quick look at something. 好 It glanced over the side of the bridge into the water. 他就看了一下桥另一边的那个水面。哎呦，居然看到了什么东西呢
？It was shocked to see another dog staring at him with a large piece of meat in its mouth. The dog did not realize, of course, that he was looking at himself, the reflection of himself in the water from the bridge.
OK, 所以接下来呢 It was shocked. 这个地方一定是用 shocked VPP 的形态，因为它是讲到这个狗的感受。The dog was shocked.It was shocked to see another dog staring at him. 居然看到另外一只狗正在瞪着他，而且呢，这个只狗呢嘴里也叼了一块同样大块的肉。他看到之后吓了一跳。
Thinking quickly, he went to snatch the other dog's meat. To go to snatch just means to do something. Snatch is to grab something, in this case with his mouth. He has to open his mouth and try to snatch. We have the idea of steal, to take something that you're not supposed to if you snatch something.
没错 snatch 给人感觉是很快去抢人家的东西，往往那个东西不该你抢的，这种时候我们会用 snatch 这个字来表达。所以他就说怎么样 thinking quickly， 他很快动了动念头， He went to snatch the other dog's meat。 好，我嘴巴里有一块，我也要把你那块给抢过来，他就很快的就是张了嘴去抢另外那只狗它嘴里的肉。
Unfortunately, oh, it's too bad. How sad. It was just his reflection. Now, if you hear the word reflection or read it, you can think of mirror. Looking into a mirror, that is your reflection. When we look into water, it's almost like a mirror, so he saw his own reflection. But when he opened his mouth to snatch the other dog's meat, he lost his own meat. The big piece of meat he had originally, at first, fell into the water below, off the bridge, into the water.
哇，你看看，真的是贪心吧？好，他就说 unfortunately， 很不幸的事情呢。好，提到 unfortunately 就知道啊，有个转折，而且是不好的转折。It was just his reflection. Reflection 老师刚刚提到了 ，if you look into the mirror， 如果你看着镜子的话呢，你就会看到你自己的倒影 reflection。好，这个字的话就是你的倒影的意思。And his meat fell into the water below。然后因为一张嘴，他原本嘴巴里叼的肉呢，也顺势掉到这个河里头去，掉下了桥，跑到河里头去了。不仅没有抢到人家的肉，自己肉也弄丢了。
Okay, so at first when we hear the story, we think, stupid dog. However, there's a reason that the dog did this. He was fooled by the mirror, and he already had meat. So the moral of the story is, don't be greedy.Be happy when you do have something. It's usually enough.
没错，所以这个故事就告诉我们说，不要贪心。好 ，Don't be too greedy. Greedy 的拼法是 G-R-E-E-D. Greed 再加上 y 变成形容词 ，greedy 就是贪心的意思。千万要对自己有的东西呢感到知足，这样就可以了。
Okay, we finished our 3 fables, so let's take a short break and then wrap up after it.Okay, I said we'll wrap up our program. W-R-A-P. W-R-A-P. Wrap up is to finish, to end, with the phrasal verb break out. In our fable, break out referred to a war erupting, happening very quickly. Disease can also have a breakout situation, as we well know. And acne, when you have many pimples, usually teenagers may be very stressed, and that nervousness makes them break out in pimples. Pimple, P-I-M-P-L-E. P-I-M-P-L-E, pimple.
OK， 所以我们今天提到这个 break out 这个片语呢，除了用在我们课本上的这个战争之外，战争突然爆发了，也可以用其他字，比方说疾病突然肆虐了，好像我们现在这种状况，或者呢说今天在青少年时期的时候，刚好粉刺大爆发，好面泡，老师刚刚也用 pimple 这个字，好 pimple 或者是 acne， 好 A-C-N-E 来表达面泡突然之间一下子出来，可能压力啦，可能会荷尔蒙的关系，都可以用 break out 这个片语哦。
Okay, that's it for today's program and yesterday's program as well. Hope you had a good time with us. We always have a good time with you. Till the next time.
Bye-bye.
第32页，追根究底，伊索寓言给我的启示。
Life lessons with Aesop's Fables. Aesop's fables not only make for fun tales to entertain children, but they can also remind adults of important life lessons. Here are 3 of Aesop's fables. The 4 Oxen and the Lion. 4 oxen lived in a large field. A lion nearby often tried to attack them. However, the oxen would put their tails together and their horns out and get ready for its attack. One day, the oxen began fighting among themselves. In anger, they each went to different corners of the field. The lion took advantage of the opportunity and attacked. One by one, the lion ate them all. The Donkey and the Horse. A donkey and a horse lived together in a stable. The donkey worked long days, but got few thanks from its owner, who gave all his attention to the horse. I wish I was a fine horse to be cared for and not have to work so hard, thought the donkey. One day war broke out, and a soldier rode the horse away. The horse never returned and died on a distant battlefield. I'm lucky to be a donkey and not a horse. I can remain safe at home, far from danger, thought the donkey. The Dog and the Shadow. A dog was crossing a bridge with a large piece of meat in its mouth. It glanced over the side of the bridge into the water. It was shocked to see another dog staring at him with a large piece of meat in its mouth. Thinking quickly, he went to snatch the other dog's meat. Unfortunately, it was just his reflection, and his meat fell into the water below.